Hi, everybody. I hope you guys are doing okay at home, and I hope you don't have any problems viewing this or listening to it. I'm going to make it quick, but I wanted to go over some of the key points that I would have gone over in class today. So here we go. First thing, I'm going to add a document to Module 6, and that document is this. It is a Word document that just goes over the main points that I want to make this morning. So I've got it showing on my screen right now. So I think I might have talked about this briefly in class, but to get started with this whole concept of argument, I want to start with the idea of Aristotle's proof of an argument. So he basically created like you think about a mathematical proof. This is an artistic proof, right? It's the three components necessary to create a solid, strong argument. So logos, which is the appeal to logic, pathos, which is the appeal to emotion, and ethos, which is the appeal to ethics. But here, the idea here is not to appeal to your audience's ethics, but to ethically convince your audience by showing your own credibility and character by doing things like using logic and emotional appeals to convince your audience, getting good sources, all of that. So this week you have one major assignment due, and it's due Friday night at midnight, and it's essentially it's a topic proposal, but you're going to do it in the form of a very brief outline. So you can see here, this is essentially the outline that I'm looking for. A claim or a thesis. So you're going to pick a topic. I mentioned in class, you don't get to sit on the sidelines. You have to actually pick a side. So you make your claim, you know, we should arm every citizen, we should ban all weapons, whatever your claim is. You're going to list for me your reasons, let's say 3 to 5. You want some good reasons for this. You're going to have your evidence. That you don't need to worry about that in this initial proposal. Just give me your reasons. And then your opposition, okay? That's what does the opposition have to say about it? All right, I'm going to open up a different document. Inside, or let's just switch here. So if you're in the module, go to the document titled Persuasive Argument Proposal. So that's what this document is. And I've got page numbers from the book. And here's how you're going to sort of fill it out. I believe that, and here's going to be your claim. I believe that we should arm every citizen. If you look at the examples that I have in here, I've got one about eliminating homework in K through 12 and one about mandatory attendance at the college level. So let me use my no homework as an example. So I come here, I believe that we should modify or eliminate homework at the K through 12 level. Because, and I'm going to list my several reasons. These are going to be as much of my logical reasons as I can. Then I'm going to try and think about any emotional reasons that I might have. So a logical reason might be kids need more time to play and they shouldn't be spending all their time doing homework. The emotional appeal that goes along with that is that with the additional time to play and a time for family, that creates, you know, growth and important aspects for children. Then I'm going to list my opposition arguments, okay? Here's how I refute my opposition. I want to think about, do I rebut them? Do I acknowledge or accommodate them? So we talked about this a little bit in class, but it's all the reasons I say, hey, here's why you're wrong about your point. Note that I have here at the bottom, you don't have to fill out every single number on this sheet. It's just giving you the idea of what needs to go in this proposal. So when you're finished, fill it out on here, download this form, fill it out, copy it, go in and select the actual place for to submit it, which is going to be a discussion board, and then just paste it there. Okay, so that's the primary assignment for this week. Now let me go back to my notes. So I've gone over this. So here's what you need to do this week, and I put this in the announcements. All right, so you're going to read chapter 13, which starts on page 157. Specifically, read the article about organ sales. What's great is that it's annotated. So read through those yellow annotations and it shows you the organization of an argument. Key features of argument are listed on page 170, and there's a couple of outline ideas on 179. In fact, I'm going to turn to 179 for a minute right now and point out that the first one shows that you state your thesis, give all the reasons, acknowledge, talk about the opposing arguments. So let me go back here. Here's my organization, right? Here's my proposal planning sheet. So here's one method of organizing it. Thesis, all your reasons, all your opposition, your response to the opposition, and a conclusion. Here's another way of thinking of this. And this shows on the bottom of 179. Talk about your reason one, and then go to the opposition reason. Go back and forth between your reasons and opposition reasons. And if you look at the article on organ donation, that's exactly what they do. Here's another way to think about it. Imagine that you change this order, and instead of talking about your reasons first, you instead deal with all the opposition reasons and then go into making your own argument. So you've got some freedom here in terms of what order you want to put this stuff. All right, so that's chapter 13. A reminder, and we went over this a little bit in class. Chapter 38 talks about every one of these parts, and it gives you great ideas here on your reasons and evidence. What kind of support should you have? Now, lastly, major reading assignment for this week is there is an information sheet and an assignment sheet in the module. So I'm going to open these up. I've already got them opened up for you. So the information sheet is simply just think of it as like a mini lecture from me about what persuasion is, the way to approach it, things to think about, talks about logos, ethos, pathos, evidence, analysis, etc. The second sheet is actually the assignment, okay? And here I provide a couple of different ways to approach it. A traditional approach, which is you pick a subject from current events and you give your viewpoint. A career-focused approach, so think about some of the issues in your area of expertise, whatever you're studying. What are some places where things need to change? And then, picking some kind of like maybe not a fun topic, but something that's a little less serious maybe than tackling gun control. So I also want to really encourage you to stay away from those super emotional issues like gun control, abortion, euthanasia, or mercy killing. It's not that you can't write on those things, y'all. It's just that those are topics that people get so emotional about, they sometimes have a really hard time making a logical argument. That leads me to one other thing. If you go into this module, I have a couple, I mean, this is just something I took off the internet, and it's topic ideas for persuasive argument. And there's just a whole list of things. Obviously, you're not limited to this. Really, you can talk about anything. Obviously, our current events situation has given us all some things to talk about and think about with regards to just, family leave policies, the cost of living, how much people get paid, what happens with our health care that's going on, how do we deal with crisis situations, all of that. So those are some other things to be thinking about. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to go back to my notes here, make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to cover. The information and argument sheets are in the module, and here, so this is the last thing. So the basic requirements for this essay. It's going to be 5 to 7 pages long. That includes a works cited page, which if you take it to its bare minimum means 4 pages plus your works cited. You need to include 1 block style or long quotation. Rules and information about that are on page 586 and 7. And 1 illustration. That's like a graph, a chart, a photograph. I'll do another video on that when we get closer to the rough draft. Here are just the general due dates. So I mean, this thing is going to take us out through the next month. So the outline, the basic outline is due this Friday. Next week, I'm looking for an extended outline. And again, if you go back to the module, you will see 2 sample extended outlines so that you can see that I'm looking for, you know, 2 typed pages here. Here, you're not going to copy and paste, you're going to attach it. And then the final draft will be due, the rough and final drafts are due the 17th and 24th. Notice there's a week off here. That's because you're still off technically for spring break, which is Easter. So I don't have any assignments due during that time. And then the last thing that I have on here, this is actually a live link. I'm going to attach this and you can use it to find this link. But also, if you go into our course and you go to course content, and scroll down to adding research to an essay. 2 things. So first, you have your NC Live. So if you haven't, you know, if you don't remember how to get in here, this is how you get into NC Live. Click here. Here's your password. But I want to show you this source called Opposing Viewpoints. Okay. Just like NC Live, you've got to put in Catawba Valley Community College, and you've got to use this password. But I'm going to click on here, and you all are going to just love this resource so much. So I click on here, I'm inside. All right, it's wanting me to sign in. What did we say that password was? NC Live 001. Oh, I guess I put in the wrong password. NCLIVE001. Let's make sure. All right, I'm in. So let's just say I've been using gun control as one example. I click on, I type in gun control, and what I'm going to get here, this is so cool. So I get just an overview. This is written by professionals, so you could even use this overview as a source. Below here, I have featured viewpoints. I have academic journals, images, magazines, viewpoints. So viewpoints is the whole point of this website is called Opposing Viewpoints. It literally gives you pros and cons for all kinds of subjects. So here's an example. I gave up my gun after New Zealand. Why are Americans mad at me? New Zealand laws would be unconstitutional. So you have sort of this pro and con point of view. Here they're just featuring 14 of them, but if you look here, there's 185. So you got more than enough references. Here's another cool thing. I told you you have to have some kind of image. Well, first of all, look at this, statistics, images. So I'm going to just click on statistics. There's 28 different things I can choose from. So here's an example of states that have red flag laws, churches, guns, and state laws. So let's just, looking at firearm background checks. So I'm going to just click on this so you can see that you could click on this and literally use this table in your paper. Okay, it gives you the source citation. It lets you do a copy and save your image as. Something else I want to just take a look at really quickly up here, the images. So you don't have to have necessarily a table or a graph, but here's a bunch of images. Sorry, my doggy's starting to bark here. Here's a bunch of images that you could possibly use in your paper. All right, so that's a lot, but email me if you have questions. I'm going to go back to the announcements page here. Notice also in the post from yesterday, or it was like earlier this morning, I put a phone number in here, 828-294-8084. That's not my real phone number, it's a Google number, but call me if you're frustrated or if you need help, if you have questions and you don't feel like email is working, go ahead and call me. This morning, I posted this announcement and with this course link, and if you click on it, nobody's done anything yet. Oh, I'm going to create the thread, sorry. Your opinions about meeting online. So if you want, you are going to simply submit your opinions about whether or not you think we should meet online. You'll click on my thread, you'll click on reply, and you know what? You can give your message anonymously. So if you're like, yes, we have to meet online, don't worry about what your classmates think. They don't even have to know who it is who's saying it. So, all right, y'all, be safe. Let me know if you have questions. Take care of yourselves and be in touch.